Hello guild, Raiku here. I'm gonna do a short video explaining our new formation. So what do we have on our new formation? We have 4 groups. There is a tanks group, there is a melee DPS group, a ranged group, and a roamer group. So the general idea is that we're gonna be facing enemies. I'm gonna paint them in blue. We're usually gonna fight something without a very good shape, like a cloud of people. So it's gonna be very difficult for us to be able to put all the damage on a single point if they are moving like a cloud. Why? Because let's say if we try to keep proportions, let's say all the DPS is this cross, so we can't be doing a lot of crosses. We only have one single place where we can put all the damage. And where do we want all of our damage? We want all of our damage very close to the front of the tanks. And how are we gonna do that? Well, let me explain. So the idea is that if we move this tank group towards the enemy is going to get close together, and they're gonna move towards that group that is attacking. Why? Because they're gonna see a small group that is very easy to target, that is very compact, and they just have to put all of the AoE on top of them, and that's what they are going to focus. So this is going to help us, this is going to work in our favor, because while they're attacking the tanks, we can have our melee DPS group going all the way around and jumping on top of them, right? So what's the idea? The idea is that the enemy is going to be placing all their damage. That was a little bit big. They're gonna be placing all their damage on top of us, right? After their initial damage, the DPS group will be they will be looking at our life bars. After they see that we start healing back, they're gonna jump on top. The enemy has already wasted their main bomb, and as soon as they come on top of the tanks, they're gonna be starting receiving all the healing, all the boon support, or all the condition cleanses, and that's how they're gonna survive. What would be a mistake? A mistake would be if the DPS come this way and jump here. And this is what happened on Monday. I will show you later, guys, on the clip. And what happened is that Page was doing lieutenant for the melee DPS, and he jumped here. So what's the problem when they jump here? That all of our cleanses, all of our support is gonna be placed here, right? So as soon as they jump there, the enemy is gonna turn back. They're gonna move here. Actually, let me clean the board a little bit. Okay, so they're gonna have, if they jump there, the enemy is gonna turn around and they're gonna start attacking them. So yeah, maybe the tanks will survive, but the melee DPS will die. They will die very fast because the range of the heals is usually not farther than this. Okay, and as soon as they jump here, as soon as the melee DPS jump there, the problem is that these guys, they're still attacking, right? We are still receiving damage, damage, and damage. And even the tanks, even if they are tanks, they can't resist forever. The way this game is the damage is usually higher than healing, so eventually they will kill us. And when I say eventually, I'm not speaking about 1 minute or 2. No, I'm talking about a couple seconds, right? So let's say the tanks can survive something around, or should be able to survive something around 10 seconds, okay? If the melee DPS jumps over here, then the tanks are gonna have to resist not for 10-20 seconds, they're gonna have to resist 40 seconds, 30 seconds, they're gonna eventually die. And the melee DPS will die as well because they don't have any support. So that's gonna be the first thing we want to avoid. Okay, so going back to our report, I mentioned that the tanks are gonna be receiving all the damage, right? So what's gonna be the defense system against this damage? I just said that tanks can't survive forever. So we're gonna have our group, our ranged group, placing all the damage right here. Right here. And in talking about Finny, which Finny is ranged, but she's ranged support, she's gonna be placing all her support here as well. So that's gonna help us for two reasons. First, they're gonna create AoE on top of the tanks. So if the tanks looked like this first, like a little group, and we place AoE on top of them, then they're gonna suddenly look bigger, and the enemy is not going to be able to get in the middle right where they are standing. So that's using AoE as a defense mechanism, and that's something very usual. I think all of you have seen the red circles on the ground and have tried to get away from them. So that's going to be our first mechanism of defense. Also, the enemy is smart. They're gonna find out sooner or later that the tanks are not doing any damage. So if we were able to place damage from our DPS ranged players like Pablo on top of them, then they're gonna perceive a false idea of damage. They're gonna think this is a group with DPS players on it, and they're gonna be more careful about it. Okay, so if this is the case and we have all of our damage and all of our support on the same place, we're gonna be having something like this. Damage and support in the same place, then it's gonna be much safer for the DPS group to jump on top of that, right? they're not gonna be receiving as much damage because there's healing going on here. The enemy is not gonna be exactly on top of the tanks because there's a lot of AoE protecting them, protecting the tanks, scaring the enemy. So it's gonna be much safer to jump here. And there will always be one or two enemies that are gonna be caught inside. So if we can jump on those, we can start having kills. Okay, so that's kind of the idea. The last group that I have not mentioned is the roamer group. So what's the idea of the roamer? Roamer will be doing several things. In the case of Executor, he's gonna be capturing central points, he's gonna be capturing shrines, so he's gonna spend a lot of time away from the group. But when he does come back to the group, what he's gonna do is he's gonna protect the ranged team. Why? Because melee is busy waiting for their moment to jump inside. Yeah? And when they do jump on top, ranged is gonna be alone and they're gonna be an easy target. And we're always gonna have enemies roaming around. Oh, that was too big. Roaming around, and trying to pick on the weakest part of the team, which is this part. So what we're gonna have is the roamer, our roamer taking down all those enemy roamers and protecting our range. That's the main point of the roamer group. Right now we only have one roamer, but as we get more players, we're gonna have a bigger roamer group. So that's basically it for the group movement. There's one other situation. Actually, there's a couple more situations that I would like to explain. So let me clean the board